skip the Cavs and go to the Guardians because we have a guest coming on in 5 minutes, Jay. So I want to just ask this question. We'll make it quick, though, and move on to Eric Boland, who covers the Yankees, but is a Cleveland guy. It's a 9-3 start for the Guardians. The roster is almost identical to what it was last year in terms of players. They've brought some young guys up. They called Miles Straw down. Is the hot start beginner's luck for Vogt or an indictment on Francona last year for not being able to get the most out of the guys on his roster? What say you?
Yeah, I know that this question comes with a disclaimer. Because you were explaining this morning, you'd sent these out last night. When I saw it, I'm like, wow, Mikey taking a swipe at Tito.
Bang, bang.
And you wanted to be clear on the morning call this morning that, no, that's not, I'm just throwing it out there. And
I don't believe it. I'm just throwing out the question.
Yeah, no.
My hands are clean.
No, it is in no way. It is in no way an indictment on Terry Francona. Remember, Tito had the entire season without his number one and number two pitchers. Mm-hmm. I think collectively they may have won 3 or 4 games between Bieber and McKenzie. I'm just trying off the top of my head to think that may have been slightly more. But he lost both at the start of the season, and Tristan didn't come back, and Bieber did come back at the end. And was still managed to get this team the equivalent of 5 games under 500. The record says 76 and 86 is 10 games under 500. But if you look at it, 5 more wins and they're 81 and 81.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He finished under 500, I believe, twice. And the only other time it was barely under 500. And that might have been his first season when he inherited a train wreck of a roster. And obviously we know what he did in terms of taking them to the playoffs, winning divisions within 1 game of a World Series. So no, there's no way I can kick dirt on Tito. What I can do is take that dirt and grow flowers for Stephen Vogt. Stephen Vogt looks like he's been in that dugout for 50 years. I think he's, you don't even want to call them tactical mistakes because everything is subjective. He's made a few moves that I wouldn't have, but that certainly, some of them worked out, some of them didn't. They've lost 3 games. They're 9-3. 2 of their losses came on a bases-loaded walk to push in the winning run. The other loss came because Scott Barlow can't throw strikes. He's not the same guy that we remember when he was with the Royals. And when he does throw strikes, I think he's afraid that his fastball isn't as lethal as it used to be. So he's getting hit a little bit harder than he's probably accustomed to. So he walked himself into a terrible position the other night, gave up a 2-run double. That was the ball game. Those are their 3 losses. One of them, they were down 5-0, the Barlow loss, and scratched back to get it even 5-5. They ended up losing 7-5 in the 9th, I believe. The next night, they were down 5-0 again early in the game. And they scratched back again, and they walked that one off in the 10th inning. Mm-hmm. So, Stephen Vogt, my God, nothing but flowers for you. He's created a wonderful culture. He keeps saying one word. If you listen to Vogt's news conferences, he keeps saying this: love. Love, love, love. This team loves each other. They love each other. They love being here. That is worth, it's like almost like a second paycheck. So I can't criticize Tito. And the other thing is, it's 12 games. And in all, and being completely fair, 7 of those 12 games were against teams that will each lose well over 100 games this year.
Man, listen, Tito is a real OG. Tito is the godfather. There's no way in the world anything that the Guardians is doing right now is an indictment on Terry Francona. To your point, man, he lost his number 1 and number 2 pitchers to injury. Then you had guys like Jimenez and Quan who really didn't play that well last year.
They didn't play as well as they had the previous year.
Right, the previous year. Then you had young guys that you was counting on to, kind of repeat what they did in 2022 and 23. Didn't happen. You had MLB changing damn near every rule of significance, and that was an adjustment for an old school manager. A lot of things, plus his health, right? Sure. So there were so many things that kind of went against the grain that we normally see with Terry Francona last year. So one of the things that excites me about Stephen Vogt is he just got finished playing this game. This is a dude who knows these new MLB rules pretty well, that when you're a former player that's recently removed from the game, you can relate to the younger players a little bit better. And not only that, Jay, plus, man, there's no expectations this year.
Right.
And typically when there's no expectations, we talk all the time about the Browns players hearing all the noise. The Guardians players hear the noise too. They're channeling all that noise they hearing, and they going out there and showing us, I'll show you.
I'll tell you this. Listen, like Jay said last year, holler at me when you got a third of the games out of the way.
Yeah.
Then we'll make some sweeping. And, look at the Duke knee-jerk being calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah,
And it could
you're
be
not living
30 or
up to your
40 games.
nickname.
No,
It could be
the
30
Duke
or 48
knee-jerk-
games. Ain't no indictments on Terry.
One third of the game.
Yeah.
They're playing well right now. Hopefully this lasts, but baseball is a long, long season. Just think about it. If they get to the playoffs, football season will be here.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's crazy.
I mean, if you actually at the trade deadline, camps are open.
That's wild.
I mean, that's how close the
That's
two,
wild.
run into one another. I do always say that I break the season into thirds. I look at where they are on June 1st, and then again I look at where they are on August 1st. And look, they're not going to win 75% of their games this year. Not a chance that happens. I think they've done it because they've beaten up on some really bad teams. The White Sox and the A's, and with the White Sox and their injuries, and they just had another key injury to their best player. It's just so I don't want to blow the horn too early on this team, but I'd rather be 9-3 than 3-9.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll
We're
say
going to
it
bring
that
in our guest here to help us preview the Yankees-Guardians weekend